الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضاه وصل اللهم وسلم وبارك على عبدك ورسولك نبينا وحبيبنا سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا مزيدا. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. ثم أما بعد. Imam al-Hafiz al-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions in his great book or treatise, you can say, Bustan al-Arifin, he mentions a line of poetry regarding al-Ikhlas. And he says, rahimahullah, quoting one of the Salaf, that he, rahimahullah, said, إذا شهدوا لإخلاصهم والإخلاص احتاج إخلاصهم إلى الإخلاص. So Imam al-Hafiz al-Nawawi rahimahullah mentions this line of poetry naqlan from one of the Salaf, and it means that and when or if they were to bear witness to the sincerity of their sincerity, or you can say to the truthfulness of their sincerity, then their sincerity is in dire need of sincerity. So this very clearly points to a disease that exists within our modern community, especially amongst the youth, but something definitely not specific only to them. And that disease is the disease of claiming things, being a self-proclaimed fill in the blank. So brother, you hear things like, brother or sister, I'm sincere. They say, I'm sincere, I my intention is only khair, my intention is always good. Or you hear things like, brother, my heart is pure, my heart is clean. And these are claims that no human being other than those who are attached to Allah Azza wa Jal through wahi, right? So the Anbiya alayhimus salatu wassalam, or those whom Allah Azza wa Jal and His Anbiya and Rusul alayhimus salatu wassalam can bear witness to. They can bear witness for their sincerity or some sort of a maqam or manzila that they may or may not have. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to protect us. Other than the Anbiya and Rusul, no one has the right to make a claim. And that's why you see the awliya of Allah Azza wa Jal from the Sahaba and the Tabi'een wa atba'uhum, from those first three pure generations of Islam, about whom the Messenger of Allah salawatullahi wasalamu alayhi said, خير القرون قرني أو خير الناس قرني ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم كما جاء في الحديث الصحيح, as it comes in the authentic narration that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, the best of people or best of generations are mine, meaning himself and the Sahaba, and then those who come after them, and then those who come after them. So we have the Sahaba, we have the Tabi'een, and then we have the Atba'u at-Tabi'een, rahimahumullahu jami'an wa radiyallahu an as-sahabati ajma'een. We never find in these three generations people, groups, or individuals, whatever it may be, claiming things. I'm a mujaddid, I'm a muhaddith, I'm sincere, I'm mukhlis, or I'm any of these things. And before them, the Anbiya, alayhim salatu wassalam, if you read the book of Allah Azza wa Jal, rarely, actually never, you find the Anbiya ever claiming to be something. Ma ada dunya, like putting the dunya aside, they never claim a status in front of Allah Azza wa Jal. So they don't say things like, Ya Rabbi, ana min al-mukhlisin, Ya Rabbi, ana min al-muttaqin. You'll never hear them say these things. Rather, the only thing you hear from the Anbiya is ad-du'a wa tamanni. You hear supplications and prayers to Allah Azza wa Jal to be from amongst a group of people, or having aspirations, tamanniyat, hopes, desires and aspirations to be included amongst a certain group of people, whether that's the muttaqeen, the mukhlasin, the muhsinin, the mu'mineen, whatever it may be. And so this line of poetry that I quoted, that Hafiz al-Nawawi rahimahullah quotes in Bustan al-Arifin from one of the Salaf, it's very telling of a disease that we're all, unfortunately, plagued with, which is that we like to make claims, whether it's about ourselves or other people. Unfortunately, it's more so to do with ourselves. So when they bear witness to the truthfulness of their own sincerity, then their sincerity will be in dire need of sincerity. So, the principle in self-purification is always ittiham nafsak. Accuse yourself and be accusatory with the self, with the nafs. Be skeptical to the uprightness of your own intentions, thereby reviewing and revisiting your own intentions and your own reasons behind why you're doing a certain action and for whom you're doing that action. And thusly you cannot ever be safe from, but you will actively be in the action of protecting yourself from a riya or a takabbur or a fakhr or whatever it may be, ujbun nafs, to be amazed with yourself, self-amazement. One of the great things that the ulama they did was that they recorded the good and bad of anyone to do with the knowledge of Islam. So anybody who was transmitting this religion. So we read in the books of Ilm al-Rijal, you come across ashkhas you would think would be known to the Ammatul Muslimin wa khawasihim, to the general layman of the Muslim, and even to the ulama and the elite of the ummah, if I can use that terminology. But he's unknown, jahil, majhul, sorry. He's unknown. But if you read his seerah, but for example, Imam al-Dhahabi rahimahullah mentions in Seerah Alam Nubula about one of the people he records the history of. I think it was Imam al-Dhahabi rahimahullah. And he mentions like he was in his ilm of hadith, in his ilm in fiqh, in seerah, and he was a person of knowledge. And he carries on about the lofty nature of this man. And then you get to the last line, and he rahimahullah says, وَلَكِنْ هَلَكَهُ الْعُجْبُ. But what destroyed this man was self-amazement. And that is an amazing thing to have recorded there. It was known that this man was a person of sunnah, a person of hadith and knowledge, but there was no fruition. There was no perpetual nature to that khair that he might have gathered. And he, may Allah have mercy on him, was the destroyer of that potential of his goodness that he gathered, the knowledge that he gathered. That potential was destroyed by that same person. And the tool by which he destroyed his own potential was that he was amazed with what he was given of knowledge. And that's an amazing thing, subhanAllah. So how much more dangerous of a thing to be amazed with oneself when you have nothing. When you have nothing, aslan. And ala al-asl, we're nothing. We're not ulama. We're barely talabat al-ilm. If we can even make that claim by Allah, I don't really think that I can't make that claim in front of Allah Azza wa Jal, that I'm a student of knowledge. Allah knows best. But the point is that if it destroyed people far greater than us, this disease of self-amazement, claiming things for yourself. I'm like this, I'm like that, I'm not this, and I'm not that. If you look at our Salaf, وَعَلَى رَأْسِهِمُ الصَّحَابَةِ, and at the head of the Salaf, after our Prophet ﷺ, the Sahaba, you see that they were people who were more worried about what they were in terms of what evil they had within themselves. So the very famous example of Amir al-Mu'mineen Abu Hafs Umar bin Khattab al-Adawi al-Qureshi radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, who would follow, he would follow Sahib al-Sir, as they say, Hudhayfah ibn al-Yaman. He would follow him around inquiring whether or not he was mentioned amongst the munafiqeen, because Allah's Messenger ﷺ revealed that knowledge to Hudhayfah. And Umar bin Khattab relentlessly asked and begged Hudhayfah to tell him whether or not the Prophet mentioned him amongst them. And he's Amir al-Mu'mineen. So there's a definite disconnection or disconnect that exists between their mindset and the mindset of the modern Muslim. So what we should be doing is actively trying to rekindle and revive that aspect of the human nature that Allah Azza wa Jalla has created within us, to be skeptical, to be accusatory, but turn it within. As some of our Salaf mentioned, that's the primary function of that ability of the human being, to be critical, to be accusatory, to be to be able to nitpick and break down and dismantle behavior, speech, and criticize it. That ability of the human being exists in principle to be turned within to the self. Once that's done, then obviously it can be used to look at the behaviors and actions of others. Of course, so long as there's a maslahah, there's a need and a benefit to it, especially for the ummah as a whole. Ala kullin, I just wanted to mention that about the importance of the issue of sincerity. The issue of sincerity and being sincere and not making the grave and fatal, possibly, mistake of claiming about yourself that which you have no way of verifying in reality. We can take signs, we can try and find out through certain means and tests that we can put ourselves through whether or not there's a level of sincerity in our hearts in, regarding us, regarding the deen in general, or certain ibadah that we do. But to know that bi'ilm al-yaqeen is impossible. It's impossible. So we should always, and that's not something to be sad over. That's a reality that Allah Azza wa Jal has created us in, so that we are in constant reflection of our own selves. We're in constant reflection about who we are, why we're doing something, and for whom we're doing that thing. So it's not something to feel sad about. Rather, in reality, like many of the situations we find ourselves in reality, it's nothing but a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah Azza wa Jal is always, of course, the Most High and knows best. And having said that, we will suffice. وصل اللهم وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا مزيدا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. والحمد لله رب العالمين.